there's a lot of new comedians have come out as well as a result of the pandemic. Like, the landscape of comedy has changed so much. Like, before it was very much kind of, you knew someone, they booked you for a gig. But now there's a lot of, like, I have friends who do it, and they kind of refer to themselves as bedroom comedians because they started doing, you know, skits and social media and everything else, and they grew their audience that way. What do you make of that change and people coming through in that way?
That's an interesting term, a bedroom comedian. My missus would agree with you. But it's amazing. I mean, it's as you say, it's the new wave of talent that's come through, and they've fast-tracked themselves to notoriety by their own content on social media. And there's some brilliantly funny, creative people out there, and I see them all the time, and I'm like, God, I wish I had the wherewithal to do stuff like that when I was up and coming, because when I'm, you know, I did it the old way. Although, come here, listen, I just mentioned I was on a TV show, and that was a big leg up for me now. But for other comedians who are starting, it's a long slog. You know, you could be doing 2 or 3 years of just doing open spots all around the country for no money, and with the hope that somebody will go, actually, he's good, we'll give him a little longer set, we'll pay him a tenner, you know. And it was a long slog. But then when you get there, it's really satisfying. But the lads who are, the lads and lassies who are coming through on social media, and they're peppered across this festival, and rightly so, because they have a massive following. So the promoters know what they're doing. They're getting these people in because they know people are going to buy tickets to see these guys.
Absolutely.
Do you feel any pressure to go in on those platforms as well?
I deleted Facebook and Twitter because I was going into dark depression. So I said, enough of that.
Fair.
And but I kept Insta because it's just pictures of coffee and trees, isn't it, really?
And your dinner.
Lunches, of course. That's me.
And TikTok, I've kind of dabbled in a little bit. I went on it, didn't know how to use it, stopped it for a year, went back, tried a little bit more. And it's mad, the algorithm there. You do a couple of videos and all of a sudden you've got this massive, like, loads of new followers. And, you know, Darren Conway is one of the great content creators, and I love Darren. He's a good friend of mine. We train the same gym, me and Darren, you know what I mean? We train the same gym. We're like Rocky and his coach, we are really, you know. And he's brilliant. And I attempted to do what he does, the face-to-face, but I did it with Darren in the gym, and that video took off on TikTok, you know. But he is the master, and he teaches me how to do it properly, like, you know.
Darren is so good.
He's been on the show.
What was it like working with him, I suppose, because he's like a self-confessed Eric Lalor fan, even before he got into the comedy, and you've obviously worked together on Free Gaff, and you mentioned the other online sketches. Yeah. So what was that like when you did eventually come together? Was he a bit starstruck?
I wouldn't say starstruck. He's probably watching this now and going, I'm not a fan of him.
He's like, shaking his face.
No, when, you know, because I had, you know, Darren became very visible, particularly during lockdown, I suppose, when all we were doing was just hanging around social media. And I saw a lot of his videos and I was like, oh my God. And then I found out he was from same part of the world as myself. He went to my old school, all this kind of thing. So I slid into his DMs and went, how are you, Darren? I love your work, you know. I love your work top notch, like, you know. And he's like, oh, Eric, oh man, I've been a fan of yours for years. And he mentioned to me, he used to work in a pub in Finglas called the Shamrock. He says, I poured you a pint in the Shamrock a few years ago. You were at a funeral. And I was like, and I went, I wouldn't remember the situation that he said funeral. I went, I remember that funeral in the Shamrock. It was a great funeral.
Bad point.
I don't remember Darren pouring me the point, but I do remember the funeral.
Yeah. Okay. Look, you've been on the circuit. You've done tons of gigs. You're launching yourself into the Paddy Power Festival this weekend. But along the way, there have been gigs that, shall we say, didn't go so well.
Yeah. Come here, listen, everyone. And this is another thing about the festival. This is what will happen now over the next 4 nights. We'll all congregate together and we'll exchange war stories of gigs that didn't go quite so well. And one particular gig that always sticks out with me is, it was back in the early days. I was booked to do a gig with the Carlow IT. It was Freshers Week.
Right.
But they have a splinter cell in Wexford.
Yes.
I don't know what that's all about, but they have a splinter cell in Wexford. And I had to go down to Wexford to do the gig. And it was one of these afternoon gigs at 3 o'clock. It was in a pub. And it was rammed, packed. Right. But before all the students would come in at whatever time they'd come in, there was 2 locals at the bar, like a farmer and his son. And they'd been drinking from the morning. So by the time the gig started, they were 2 of them were all over the shop, like Dunbelievables, real Dunbelievables, you know what I mean? I'm on the stage and I'm doing my thing and it's going well. And they're starting to get involved now, and they're starting to comment and you know, I had to stop the gig at one stage and go, you know, I'm here. I'm not actually the television. I can hear you saying these things. They're like, oh. And one of them, they think that the older man went to the toilet and then he came back, but there was all toilet roll hanging out of his shoe. And I just pointed that out to him. I said, sorry, sir, there's a load of toilet roll hanging out of your shoe. You look like an Argentinian footballer from the 1978 World Cup there, you know? And that's all I said. And he took great umbrage with that. And his son. And I went, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? And I thought you were messing. I was like, and he got really annoyed. But then the bouncers came in and removed them. But as he was walking out, he said, I'm a farmer. I have a shotgun and I'll be back for you. So, and I had about 20 minutes to do on that gig. and I was asking the bouncers, you don't know how far away they live, do you? You don't know how quick they can get back here. Can I do the 20 minutes? I never sped through my material so much. I was like, God bless, and off I went. Down running the M50.
Well, farmer running after you with a shotgun.